Hi, I'm Steve Hoff and I'm from ULTRADENT TOOLS, and I'm here today to show you guys some tips and tricks on the BTAG Innovation T Hotbox. BTAG is an awesome company, and we're proud to be partnered with them to be selling this super high quality machine. A lot of you guys are using them now. They've been around for a few years, and some of the there's some companies trying to copy them now. Some cheap Chinese versions of these things are starting to come out, and there's no comparison to the quality of what these guys are going to give you with this machine, and the performance is going to be unmatched. So anyway, we've got the new carbon fiber heat pin extension. So normally when you get your machine, you get just your heat pin and your cord. This cord is the 3-meter extended cord, and they come with the 1 meter. I highly recommend the 3-meter cord and the heat pin extension. Okay, this thing is really tricked. So what you do is you take the heat pin, you take it off, put it on the end of the extension, and then just click it on. Okay, now you're set and ready to go. So now this button is going to control it. You won't be able to control it from this side, but what it's going to do is it's going to give you a whole lot more control and reach, especially for like roof rails, sail panels, and stuff like that when you're reaching out, or even on doors and stuff. So I like it because I can use it anywhere, even up close. It gives me a lot more control. So what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate a dent for you, and we're going to show you some techniques that I've learned and have seen from some other guys just in the recent past. Okay, with the T Hotbox, this is the steel version. They now have an aluminum version, which is awesome. The steel version of the machine has 2 power settings. You've got on the left-hand side, you've got 100% power time settings, half a second all the way up to 4 seconds on half-second increments. And then on the right-hand side, you've got percentage of power settings, which goes from 20% power all the way to 100% power, and 20% increments. So what I like to do is I like to use the percentage of power settings. It's much safer. In the manual, they recommend the half a second setting, and that's okay. But a lot of guys are really burning paint with it because you're zapping it with 100% power, and a lot of times you don't really need all that heat. So we're going to start off with the 4-second setting, and if we turn it on when it's on 4 seconds, it's going to bypass the arm alert that it gives you. It beeps every 5 seconds, twice every 5 seconds. So that'll bypass that, and then you can just turn it to whatever setting you want. I'm going to start off on 40% power here, and then we're going to go ahead and demonstrate a couple of dents on this. This is a Ford F-250 hood. It's a steel hood. It's a hail damaged hood. It's got some wickedly sharp dents in it. Now, most cases, like a panel like this, we would be really intimidated to want to repair it because we know that the paint cracks really, really easy on these things. So in this case, there's actually a couple of spots where it's broke the paint just from the edge because the paint's so brittle. So in using the T Hotbox in conjunction with some just simple hand tools, like Eric Patton's really cool hand tool, adjustable tip hand tool, we can go in there and actually just use the Hotbox with a little bit of heat and put a little bit of pressure underneath the panel and actually really just get a super effective lift on the dent very, very quickly. So we're going to show that to you here right now. So here's just a relatively decent size hail dent. It's like maybe nickel to quarter size or whatever, semi-sharp, and it's half in the brace. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the heat pin and Eric Patton's really awesome screw-on tip adjustable tip hand tool, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to go underneath the brace. So normally what you would do if you were just using the Hotbox on its own is you would start off in the center of the dent and you would start to try to put some heat on it, and if it starts to drop, then you're going to have to put some heat from the outside to draw it up. Now this one's in the brace, and sometimes these types of dents are really hard to get started. So as you can see, it's just wanting to drop the dent. Well, so if I get the dent tool underneath it, and I just put a little bit of pressure from the bottom side of it, now when I put some heat on it, it's going to start to just raise it right up. So you don't have to put a lot of pressure on it or a lot of heat to get the thing to start to move. And the nice thing about this is it's actually heating the paint up at the same time, so it makes the paint less brittle and less chance of for us to crack or fracture the paint. Okay, so we're going to take Eric's really cool hand tool, and we're going to take the heat pin on the extension, and I'm going to go in there and just get the hand tool underneath the, this is about a quarter size hail dent right here. Not too bad of a dent, but I'm going to just try to get the tool set up as close to the center of the dent as I can. And then I'm going to go ahead and start putting some heat to it. So many times around braces like this, the dent just wants to drop. And that's where this is going to really make a difference. And there again, I'm only on 40% power, so I'm not really zapping it that hard. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to just move a little bit each time, searching for the low. So we got that thing up a good 85%, 90%. So in these situations, it's a lot safer for me to be able to use both the T-Hotbox and a hand tool or any kind of a dent tool because I've got sharper dents. I'm worried about cracking the paint, so I don't want to burn the paint at the same time. So with giving the Hotbox a little assistance with some pressure from the behind, I can actually raise a dent near a brace that I would never probably ever be able to do before with just the machine only. So we're going to go ahead and finish this up. So I'm just going to find the very center of the low and use the screw-on tip to put a little pressure on it. And then once I'm under there, right under the center of it, I can just zap it a little bit and raise it up. And then let up, look at it, see where there's a little bit more low to the left. Adjust the tool, hit it again. So now as it's bringing it up perfectly. So in conjunction with the two, it's just amazing what you can do. I'm really, really impressed with the machine, and I think you guys will be real happy with it. Okay, so now we've got a really big oversized dent right here. This is a really bad dent, and these are the type of dents, especially in a braced area, that they're just not fun to do, and they're very time consuming. So I took the heat pin extension off in this case because it's so close. I want to be able to have a little bit more control. So I'm going to set this up. I'm going to set this up to use a simple hand tool and the heat pin. So I'm going to try to find the tip of the tool roughly in this deep monstrosity of a dent and get as close to the center as I can. And then I'm going to just start putting a little bit of that. We're still using 40% power here. Now this type of a dent would just drop in for sure on its own if I wasn't using a tool from behind. Okay, so you're going to want to search for the low with the tip of the tool for sure. Now I'm not getting any smoke off of this thing at all, so that's a indication that you're getting it too hot. If you see it even a slight trace of smoke, you're starting to burn the paint. And we've seen no smoke whatsoever. This dent right now has already come up, 80% or more, and so we've got it well under control. And it's lifted up a lot better with no sharp pokes or pushes in it. Really, it's got a couple of grooves in it still that we're gonna have to work out, but it's lifted up really nicely in just a short period of time. Okay, so now that I've spent just a minute or two on raising the dent initially, I'm just going to take and hand tool it a little bit to try to get some of this sharpness out of it. All right, we're going to knock it down. So now you can see we have the dent well under control. So now technically on this dent, we've got like a bit of a groove left in it here. We could finish tooling it all the way, but in a lot of instances, you guys are going to have a dent in a very tight area where you're really having a difficult time just even getting a hand tool on it. So let's just say I could only get like a little skinny wire tool on this dent. So then I could go and use my heat pin there again to help it out, because I may not have as much control with the tool as I do in this particular situation. So I can just use it in conjunction there again. Maybe I could only get a tool just barely on it. So all it takes is just a little bit of pressure on it from the bottom, and then the heat pin just draws it right up. It's okay to knock it down while it's a little bit warm, no problem. Speed up the process. These dents are too sharp for the heat pin only. You could see, we'll try this dent right here, and it's just, you're not going to get that dent all the way out, the one behind it. If you're trying to get a dent, a sharper dent all the way out, you want to make sure you're using the infrared heat gun, because if you get these panels anywhere over about 160 degrees or so, you're gonna risk burning the paint, and it'll start to yellow it or even bubble it. So you got to be very, very careful with the heat. So I'm going to finish this monster dent up. Couple little grooves, couple highs, be able to knock them down and button it up. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so now we're going to try this really sharp dent next to the body line here. This one's one of the worst ones. I've got just a regular 45 screw-on tip rod that I'm going to get up in behind it. I can feel how deep the dent is just by running across the bottom of it. Tricky part's trying to get right on the center of the low to get it started. It's going to be the hardest part, just trying to get it started. Once it starts coming up, that's going to... There it goes. So that's one of the things we try to avoid is the pop, because it tends to put that little sharp high right in the center where it pops it up. Now this dent stretched, so one of the good things about the T Hotbox is you can actually shrink with it. So we're gonna probably need to do that on this dent. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep trying to lift it up. It's half in the brace. There's a brace running right across right about right here. So I'm only able to get to the center of it. That's part of why that popped right in the middle there when it started to come up. You can see the left side's going pretty good. Now I'm going to get a hand tool and try to work the other side. All right, I'm forcing a whale tail up inside there. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some cold water and we're going to quench it. Okay, so when you have a stretched dent like this one's tightened up a bit, but we can, let's just say if it was oil canning, okay, we could heat it up, and what you want to do is you want to make sure you have like an infrared heat gun, or just know the limitations of your power settings. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm on 40% power, and I'm going to start putting some heat to this thing. Now remember, on the percentage of power settings, it's going to stay on as long as you hold it. So I don't really want to go above 160 degrees. So I saw 155 right there on the infrared gun. So I'm going to give it a little bit more, and then I'm going to quench it with cold water. And that's going to help tighten it up. And then we can go back in there and we can use the dent tool for a little bit. I got a couple of bad pokes in there at the moment, but we'll be able to get them out. I'm just going to push up around those bad highs. Remember, I'm half in the brace and half out, and that's why the tool's slipping. All right, we'll knock it down. Now I'll use both again. Probably won't hurt to shrink it a little bit more. Go back to the rod on the left side of the brace. That one high is coming back to haunt me a little bit on the one that popped on the initial push-up when we first got it to start moving up. So I just want to push everywhere around that thing. Stay off that high. Go ahead and knock it down. Back to the hand tool. So as you can see, we can really get some good results in PDR with using the Hotbox in conjunction with the paintless dent removal tools. This shot right here, I feel real good about that. You know, I could have hard tooled that thing up, obviously, without this thing. You know, a seasoned technician with some skill, it's doable, but it sure made my job a lot easier. And if that dent would have got into a situation where it was stretched to where it was oil canning, this thing would have actually tightened it up and saved it. So it wasn't quite to that point, but anyway, you can see how well that came out. And then there was one more that was over here that was a pretty big shot that was also inside the brace. So the Hotbox, definitely a super great supplemental tool to your PDR arsenal. You just have to remember that it's a supplemental tool. Guys buy these things and they think that they're going to fix these sharp dents solely on their own, and they will not. They will fix soft, shallow dents 100%, but definitely not super deep, sharp dents. So anyway, come check us out on ULTRADENTTOOLS.com and get yourself a Hotbox.